Okay. Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for coming to our webinar tonight on Music First's newest software package offering, which is the complete performance assessment solution from Noteflight and Music First. A couple of housekeeping items before we begin. Yes, we will be recording this webinar, so we're currently recording. So if you need to pop in or pop back out, that's totally fine. We're going to send you a link after the webinar is over to a recording of the webinar. You'll also be able to find it on the Music First YouTube page. So if you have any questions while we're going through the software, go ahead and drop those questions in the chat, and a member of either the Music First or Noteflight teams will be able to answer those questions for you at the end. My name is Rachel LaRue, and I am the Director of Marketing over here at Music First. And tonight I'm joined by some members of the Music First and Noteflight teams. We've got Juliana Matejko from Music First, Director of Support and Training, John Malinzak, who is the Vice President of Music Education and Technology at Hal Leonard. We've also got Amber and Gabe, who are also joining us from the Noteflight team. So welcome, y'all, and thank you for being here with us. So basically, what I want to, there are lovely panelists. So what we are talking about tonight, I'm really excited to announce, and it is the complete performance assessment solution from Music First and Noteflight. So basically what we've been hearing from teachers, so our customers and music educators, and what we know that our ensembles are really looking for is a robust, easy to use solution for practice assessment. You want to be able to easily assign your students exercises, have them automatically graded, and you also want to be able to do this on every device your student could possibly have, whether that's an iPhone or a Chromebook. And most of all, you want it for a price that fits into your program's budget, which we know is very important. So the first piece of that is performance assessment. So what you want to be able to do is automatically assess your students' practice and populate a gradebook with those assessments. We also have access to repertoire in the software assortment, over 4,000 titles. So that includes repertoire for band, chorus, and orchestra, solo instruments, and it includes some of your favorite method books like Standard of Excellence and Essential Elements. You're also going to be able to easily create custom exercises. We know that that's something that you're all looking for your students. So being able to create your own sight reading exercises, for instance, you'll be able to do that with this software assortment and then create playing tests from those. And you're also going to be able to do composition, both for yourself to create exercises and for your students to be able to create exercises that you can then assess them on, which is very cool. You can then organize all of these assignments, all of these grades, all of your ensembles, and keep track of everything in a single sign-on environment. So your students get into, sign on once, and they have access to all of these resources. And we managed to do it for $14 per user per year, not per month, per year. So what exactly does this software assortment look like? Well, the first piece is the Music First Classroom, which is a learning management system for K-12 music ed. It's the only LMS that was built specifically for music education, and it includes a gradebook, class calendars, a lesson planner, content library, secure student communication, so within the assignments and within the platform itself. It includes a gradebook, class calendars, a content library, which has pre-made lesson plans, and it also works with Remind and Cut Time from J.W. Pepper. The next piece of software that is included in this is Practice First, and that offers automated performance assessment on pitch, rhythmic accuracy, intonation, and duration of the piece, so whether or not they cut off too early on a note. And it has both video, which is very cool, and audio assessment. So that will allow you to get a little more insight into why your student's performance sounds the way that it does. You can look at embouchure, you can look at posture, all those kinds of things. Your automated assessments automatically populate the gradebook in Music First Classroom, so you don't have to do any extra work. It automatically goes in there. You can either assign your own exercises, so by uploading a music XML file or by uploading audio to create an audio recording exercise, or you can use content that's already available in the Practice First library, and you can look at all of that content. We've got way too much for me to go over it right now, but you can visit that link that you see there at the bottom of the page. And again, after the webinar is over, we'll go ahead and send you that link. So the next piece is Noteflight. So Noteflight Learn is a customizable score editor for beginning to advanced students. You're able to import and export scores as music XML files. And there's an audio recording feature which allows your students to record themselves playing a score and then be assessed in Soundcheck. Sorry, my computer's doing something a little strange. Okay. And I'm going to talk about Soundcheck in just a second, but it provides automated assessment with the same technology that powers Practice First. So your students will have a comparable experience in both pieces of software. So they're going to really kind of know what that assessment feels like when they play. Soundcheck also, or Noteflight also lets you assign individual performance or composition assignments to each student, and then you can provide feedback in the score itself. What I think is really cool about Noteflight and Soundcheck is the ability for you to assign a composition exercise to a student and then send that score to Soundcheck and make a playing test out of it, which I think is just the coolest thing. So what does that mean exactly? Well, you can take any score that's in Noteflight and open it with Soundcheck to create a practice assessment assignment. So that means you'll be able to use the repertoire in the Noteflight content libraries to create performance assessments for your students or easily compose your own exercises. And you can see up at the top there, right here, there are some adjustable playback features that allow your students to do things like adjust the tempo and use a tuner before they begin to play. And again, to view that full list of repertoire that would be available in the Noteflight content libraries, you can visit that link there. It's massive, so you're really going to want to kind of peruse that. You can also find this on the Music First website. So I know I've talked a lot, but I want to go ahead and hand it over to Juliana and John so they can actually take you through the software and what it looks like in the Music First Classroom platform. Take it away, y'all.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you all being here on a kind of dreary Thursday evening here in New York. Hopefully it's nicer where you are. I just started sharing my screen, and what I'm going to do is walk through the Music First Classroom a little bit, and John will be also chiming in with some thoughts about Noteflight in particular. Just quickly about me, as Rachel mentioned, I'm the Director of Support and Training here at Music First. Seeing some familiar faces in the audience and familiar names, which is always a pleasure to see people and be able to interact in this way, even if it's still remotely, but always nice to see some friendly faces in the room. My background is in music education. I did my master's and my undergrad in music ed and got kind of swept into this whirlwind of music education technology. And here we are. John, do you want to take just a quick second to intro yourself before I start rambling on about the classroom?
Sure, I'm happy to talk about myself. Just kidding. John Malenzak. I am, like Rachel said, Vice President of Music Education and Technology for Hal Leonard, which means, of course, I'm over Noteflight and Essential Elements and lots of other fun music education technology solutions that we offer. and I'm very much a music educator in my background. I'm currently teaching about to start a third graduate course in music technology at between Vandercook and Boston University and others. So I love teaching. I love talking about technology, and I'm excited to offer this amazing complete assessment solution with Music First. So let's dig in.
Yeah.
Jay, ramble about Music First Classroom as promised.
Excellent. This is what I'm here for. This is why they pay me the big bucks, is the ability to ramble. As Rachel has mentioned, the huge perk of this assessment bundle is that it's everything you need all in one place. The Music First Classroom will continue being the central location for all of your grades, your class management, your student management, all of those different components, as well as giving you the opportunity to assess students in as many ways as possible using the different kinds of content that you would want to be using with your students. So what I'm going to do is take a quick cruise through Practice First. Then we're going to look at how to create an assignment using Practice First and how that populates Music First itself. And then John will do the same thing with Noteflight, taking a quick look at the different content. As Rachel mentioned, it's going to be a consistent experience for your students. The assessment, feedback, and recording abilities are similar, if not exactly the same, in both of the platforms. So your students are really able to get a good feel for it, get in the groove without having to really learn too much how two different software tools work. And because it is all being offered through the Music First Classroom, all your students have one username and password. They log into the Music First Classroom itself, and they see all of their assignments within their classes, all in the same kind of format and layout. So they're not learning how to get into Practice First and have a username for that, and then get into Noteflight separately and have a password for that. It's all centralized through the Music First Classroom. And the different offerings are so useful because there's so much different content that you can pick and choose from. So here we go. Practice First. Accessible by every user simply by opening up the software tool. So students, God willing, they are motivated to just open it up, practice, play along, explore. They have the ability to do that, and you can create specific assignments for them. So within Practice First, there are various ways of sorting and filtering, looking for exactly what you are trying to find within your classroom. But you can also sort by specific method books or types of assignments or types of notation files. So here, just a quick couple of examples. We have standard of excellence, as well as tradition of excellence. The string basics books, habits of a successful musician. We've got a variety of different options here within this larger collection. And as I mentioned, students and teachers can simply open things up and start working through these notation files. Assuming, again, God willing, we are in person with our students at some point in the not too distant future. Imagine you've got a student sitting next to you. Can you even believe and dream such a thing is going to be the case once again? You have this option to just pull up these notation files and start going through them with your students. We have uploaded all of this content by score, so you can create one assignment for all of your students. I'm sorry, it's so dark. No good lighting in my apartment. So I'm disappearing into the shadows as I'm talking. So we have all of the different instruments that you can pick and choose from. So you only need to create one specific assignment and attach it to a notation file, as opposed to creating one assignment for every single instrument. If we go back and take a look at some other tools that are here. And the program is as straightforward as students get an assignment, they hit a record button, and they're able to complete something and get assessment and feedback. There are some additional options like video record, as Rachel mentioned. There are backing track options, ability to change the tempo. There's a tuner built right into Practice First. So there are some additional things that students and teachers can explore as far as assignments and working on these notation files as far as that goes. But you can simply hit record and get that assessment feedback. In order to create an assignment using the Practice First tool, we create what we call a task. The Music First software task is laid out the same in the Music First classroom, regardless of which software tool you're using. So again, students are going to one place, they're seeing only just the classes they should be added to. So maybe that's one class or two classes. They are accessing their assignments from within Music First, and you as the teacher only have to learn how to create tasks in one way. You're not figuring out how to do it in Noteflight only and in Practice First only. So I'm going to add this to our webinar class, and we'll call this first recording with Practice First. We can leave directions for our students and hope spell check works. Sure, close enough. We can add a due date. If we choose, we can customize a specific group of students. So like I said, you can create one assignment for your entire set of notation, your entire score's worth, or if you need to customize by instrument, you have the ability to do so as well. You can also assign to an individual student or a collection of individual students. So you've got a lot of options for customizing and differentiating a specific assignment. We've got no standards turned on in this particular site, but there are national and state standards built into Music First that you can pick and choose from if you choose. And you can also add any assignment you wish to the gradebook. Practice First is going to score students automatically on a scale of 0 to 100, so I recommend setting the maximum points that way, but you can also update that at any point if you choose. You can break up your gradebook into smaller sections. You can change how students see their grade depending on what you're used to doing with them. And it doesn't make sense for Practice First because it's auto-grading students, but you can build out a whole rubric for students to utilize. And once we select Create Task, we then launch Practice First and attach students to exactly what we want them to have access to. A couple interesting things here. You can, of course, upload your own exercise if you've got XML files and have students use a score that you've uploaded for the exact same assessment, that automatic scoring. You can create a generic assignment, which gives students the opportunity to choose the notation that they record and send back to you. And then, of course, you can utilize any of the built-in content. And like Rachel said, there is so much content here that it's difficult to go through all of it, but we'll try and pull up a couple different things every time here. Load, load, load. And we'll just grab exercise 1. And all you have to do, again, is click Assign to Student here in the top right. You've got some customizing options, like changing the difficulty of the grading. You can set a score goal for your students, set a tempo goal for your students. You can have them play with, have them record with nothing playing. You can add a metronome or a backing track. You can do sight reading exercises where they're not allowed to listen to the exercise beforehand, or memorization mode where you can have students play and practice and listen back, but as soon as they hit record, the notation disappears. And in any of those cases, you can set an attempts limit. And once you go through those specific parameters, we then select Add, and the assignment is complete. That's kind of a speed run. Once we finish up those steps, we can close our browser tab. And again, as the Director of Support and Training, I would be remiss if I didn't say that we also have built-in tutorial resources and user guides. So that is not going to be your last opportunity to view those steps. We also offer trainings and all that kind of stuff. So we have email support, phone support, and one-on-one support. If there's ever an emergency situation, you need a quick 5-minute call to talk through some of these processes, you are absolutely welcome to do that. And also we have some built-in information and instructions as well. So if that was too quick for the human eye to follow, that's okay. This is not your only opportunity to see such a thing. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to John.
Hey there. So I'm going to actually share my screen. I think it's just going to steal it from you, right?
Good.
So you should all be seeing my screen, and I am too in the Music First classroom now. And let me actually change this so I can look at you while I talk here. So for the Music First classroom in Noteflight, it works exactly the same. You're still in Music First, but you will be launching your assignment. So you can see the assignment Juliana just created right here. I'm going to add a task and show you how to do this with Noteflight and or Soundcheck, right? So very similar thing. You'll select Noteflight. I title this Soundcheck Me, ta-da. So that's the title of my assignment. Description, I'm going to make this due tomorrow because I'm a very mean teacher. I actually always put my assignments due at 11:59 p.m. just because I enjoy students that love to turn in stuff at 11:58 p.m. No matter what time you set it, there'll always be that last minute one. I'll hit add to the grade book here, and just same as practice first, the grade that they get in Soundcheck will be added to the grade book. So again, Soundcheck will work almost identical. So I'm going to create this task, and then we're going to open in Noteflight. And in Noteflight, we essentially have two options. You have Noteflight scores or Soundcheck scores, right? And Noteflight is notation editor, Soundcheck is performance assessment. So I have one pulled up already. I'll just show this how it works in music first. So I'm going to pull up a concert band work by Richard Sacedo, Into the Clouds. I believe it is a grade 2. So here's what Soundcheck looks like. Again, very similar. You can select, students will select their part, right? And I'll show what this looks like on the student side in a second. But as a teacher, once you select the Soundcheck score you want, you have to share it with all of the students. So you will create an activity template. And there's two different modes here. So just like Music First has, sight reading mode and all that, the way Soundcheck works is that as a teacher, you can go in and set a specific tempo. So the score tempo is 160, but if you would like students to go a little slower, I can set this to maybe 140. You can mark a selection. Maybe you only want them to assess the first few measures. I'll just reset that. All the playback options are under tracks. So if you want students to play along with the demo audio or the metronome or record along with that, you can turn the cursor on or off. So these are all the optional settings here for this Soundcheck score. You can look at an individual part and notice the parts are formatted here, and same thing. You can choose to record along with the metronome or the full score, which is the backing track, cursor on and off, etc. So these are all the options. Of course, there's the tuner built in. Yes, we would allow the microphone to stay in tune. I'm talking in tune, which is awesome. So these settings here, when you go to share this with your students, there's locked and unlocked mode. Locked means students can change any of those to learn their music, or unlocked means students can change any of those. Locked means whatever you just set in Soundcheck, that's what students get, and they're not allowed to tweak them. So and then same thing, you have 3 different levels of difficulty. You have number of attempts students can take on. So if I wanted to create a true sight reading, I can give them 1 attempt and lock it. They can't change the tempo, they can't change anything else, or you can just leave it unlocked and let them use those controls and learn as needed. So score goal you can set as well. So I'm just going to share this real quick, and it's ready to use, and that's all you need. So then once you do that, you just attach it, and now this Soundcheck assignment is attached for any student that wants to open this. Now I promised Jay that I would demo this performance assessment so everyone knows what it looks like. So I'm going to switch over to a student. I am now student John, or student Webb. And I'm going to show really quickly how this technology works after, let me refresh real quick. I don't know why it's asked me to log in, because I've not logged in. Let me just log in as my little friendly student here. My student's name is Webinar. Right? Parents really love the kid. So now I'm a student and I just launched an essential elements exercise. So I'll go, and this is very similar to practice first. I'll select the trumpet part. There's my trumpet part. I happen to have a trumpet laying around right here. And let's see if we can just demonstrate quickly how this would work. This is my trumpet player ego saying that I will definitely be messing up on purpose because I'm demonstrating the assessment. I'm also letting you know that I lived in Louisiana for 10 years, so I picked the Crawdad song for a reason. So forgive me if I start talking Southern when I see Crawdad. So let's give this a whirl. So quick example, I'll show a couple things. I hit stop. It says you get an 83, but you only played 28%, et cetera, et cetera. Now I can save this take and retry. I can go in as a student and say, you know what? I want to play with the backing track. I want to show the cursor. You can change these settings, and I'll just kind of show how these work. And I can try it again if I want. I was also going to show, let me just stop it real quick. I was also going to show mark selection. So if you don't want to hear the whole thing, I could just do this beginning, which is probably a little better for what we're going to do. So let me see if I can play 4 measures correctly. So you heard that I was playing along with the whole ensemble because I chose to do that. So you could choose metronome, whole ensemble, individual part. Look at that. I got a 70. I missed some notes. I played some wrong rhythms. Okay, but let me save this take. So now the other cool thing here is that I can play this back. You can hear what it's supposed to sound like and then what the recording is. So students can go back and say, wait, it says you played G sharp. I didn't play G sharp. You definitely played G sharp, right? So again, students happy, they turn in, there it goes, and that 70% is now in the music first grade book. So that's Soundcheck all together. Jay, I can keep going and show like a Noteflight example. I can show content. Do you want to jump in and show some stuff? What are you feeling?
I mean, I think that pretty much covers it. What I would love if you could do is go back, since you're in control still, go back as the teacher, and see your submission. So obviously this is not pre-recorded. We just saw John do this. What are you're moving too fast.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Go back to the teacher view, please. You're perfect right here. Don't go anywhere.
Nope,
no,
already
not
clicked.
That one. The one you just recorded.
Webinar.
The point I'm trying to illustrate is how quickly this happens. See, John just recorded, and then his exasperated teacher is now trying to find this assessment, which is available immediately in the Music First classroom. So there's no time delay. There's no issues with the transferring, and you can click it up and open the student assessment and see their scores. So did you, John may have made a rookie mistake, which is only setting the score for 0 points instead of 100
I definitely did not set the score to be 100, so it's only set for 0. I made a rookie Music First mistake.
A member of the excellent Music First support team will be in touch to make sure you're feeling more comfortable with the process of creating these assignments.
I will send 17 emails to make sure you remember.
So if you click where it says submitted, you can open up the student submission. So you're not only seeing their total score, you have access to the visual feedback, the total score, the breakdown of the score, as well as the student recording. So all of the information that goes to the student after they complete this assignment, you as the teacher are able to see as well. So it's not just the student work kind of going out into the ether. John, I think if you want to do a quick peruse of what kind of content is available in Noteflight, I think we breezed over that just a little bit. But other than that, I think that kind of covers what we've come here to do today.
No, and I'm glad you called it out. I was probably clicking too fast. So I am now the teacher looking at what the student just did. So this is the student recording. The teacher can see the exact feedback. The teacher can hear versus back and forth. So the teacher can even give additional feedback. They can add comments in Noteflight. They can add comments in Music First. They have that option, right? So it's cool that they can do that. So as far as content in Noteflight, how do we get there? Well, let me just go all the way back to Music First and start there. So I'm a teacher. I want some content. Let me open up Noteflight and then close some other tabs because too many tabs can drive me crazy. So now I'm in my Noteflight account as a teacher. There are these libraries right here. Now, of course, you can compose anything you want in Noteflight. You can import music XML into Noteflight in the notation editor. And I probably should show how that works first. So let's say I want to compose something real quick. I'm not going to do a Noteflight demo here, but you can import XML. Let's say I add some notes. That's my favorite song. Ta-da. So let's say I just compose something in Noteflight. If you want to turn this into Soundcheck, you have a button here and you just create Soundcheck score and it turns into Soundcheck. So you can compose a Noteflight or import anything and it'll just flip it to Soundcheck and all your score and parts will work. But let's say I want to find something else. Let me just open Noteflight in a new tab and keep going here. Then there's all the libraries. So in Noteflight, there's this included library that includes composition assessments, public domain melodies. There's the Noteflight Learn content libraries. So there's music for band, choir, orchestra, pop, piano, and guitar. I actually really love the pop songs because teachers and students have access to 846 pop songs that you can use. All of the content here, whether it's band, choir, orchestra, I'll kind of pop up in the band is where I got that Richard Sacedo piece earlier. Everything in Noteflight, if I open up, I don't know why I'm just being picky, I'm going to pick up this jazz ensemble piece. Anything you open in Noteflight, you can open in Soundcheck right away, or you can open an editable copy in Noteflight. So because this is Noteflight content, if you want to edit this piece in the Noteflight notation editor, you totally can, and then you can create a sound check from that edited version. So you could use the content as is, just hit sound check, it'll give you the sound check version. But if you want to tweak it, a lot of people don't have all the optional parts, so they want to go into an editable copy, delete all the optional parts they don't need, maybe make some tempo adjustments to the piece. You can totally do that and then create sound check from there. Totally your choice. So all of this content is included in this complete assessment bundle because it wouldn't be complete if it wasn't there, right? And essential elements methods are also in Noteflight with Soundcheck. So students can actually unlock their content just with their book. And right now, to support distance learning and online learning, which will continue all the way through next school year, if a student does not have a book, they can still have access right now. But all the essential elements content is listed, and it works the same as anything else. So if I'd like to doodle all day, I can open this. I can open it in Soundcheck and use it as an assessment file right away, or I can create an editable copy and adjust it for my needs. Students can do this too. So Rachel mentioned earlier the ability for students to edit music and create Soundcheck. Quite often we hear with any method that they move quickly, right? And so you learn a new note, you have a couple exercises reinforcing it, and then you go on to the next note. But if you'd like to have your students reinforce, they can actually use this as a composition assignment, compose maybe 8 more measures using the notes that are already in here, or rearrange it. They might want to play around with this. I'll just do this because it's fun. And then they can actually create a sound check from that. So you could go crazy and have your students make their own version, and then that can be used. So I'll just go in and play with the flute part here, and just maybe students want to go in and say, I'd want to do this. So this could be an easy little exercise suddenly where students are just making their own version by moving notes up and down. And when they're happy, they can just create a sound check and just keep on going. And all of this is available in Noteflight Learn. All of this works directly integrated with Music First Classroom. Jay, did I do a good job?
I think the final sort of wrap up point is, if you wouldn't mind going back to the Music First Classroom tab, is again, all of these tools and resources are available within the Music First Classroom. So again, students don't need to remember a separate username and a password for each of these different software tools. If you click class overview, yeah, that's exactly where I was going, John. You see all of the assignments that you've created. Students see things, a slightly different view, but conceptually the same. They've got their list of assignments under class overview. So it doesn't matter if it's practice first, sound check, Noteflight, audio recording, a specific composition, something or other in Noteflight, something you've uploaded in practice first, a writing assignment you want them to do. It all looks the same and is accessible in the Music First Classroom. So it's really straightforward, and you're getting all of these materials, all of this different content that you can pick and choose from, and the experience for teachers and students is consistent across the board. That's my final thought. John, Rachel?
I would say, I know you're probably going to talk about the 30-day trial, but again, I'll just reiterate, we at Noteflight and me, I'm so excited about this opportunity, and I'm so excited about partnering with Music First to really go into next school year and offer truly a complete solution. I mean, between the assessment options, the notation options, what Music First offers, we feel this is a fantastic offering, and we will continue to work together to build the strongest solutions possible for music educators.
Yeah, and thank you all so much for coming tonight. I'm going to open this up for a couple of questions. I know that we had some that were in the chat box earlier that I thought were really wonderful questions. So I'm going to read them for the group for everybody's benefit. The first question was, are all the published band books accessible to pick and choose exercises? Are they copyright infringement free? Yes, they have been given the seal of approval from the publishers. So if it is in Practice First or it is in Noteflight, yes, you absolutely can use those with your students and not have to worry about copyright. If you are uploading your own exercises, you need to make sure that you own that intellectual property and have the ability to do that. So if you're making your own compositions, absolutely you can upload that music XML file, but please make sure that it is copyright compliant. So yes, that's an excellent question. And then another question was, is this built for classroom or private studio use? And the answer is yes, you can use it in both. There is a 50 user minimum. So if you have a large private studio, that would really be more what it's geared for. And because it is COPPA and FERPA compliant, 100%, it is absolutely used in classrooms in K through 12 environment. Are there any other questions that people have? You can either drop them in the chat or unmute yourself to ask.
Yeah, this is Kirk Clegg out here in California.
Hi, Kirk.
Hi, good to see you.
You too.
I'm a pretty avid user of Music First and already committed to continuing, but I need to know additional, I don't know if this is the place to talk about it, but additional costs. So this assessment thing is a little different than what I've been doing. I've been assessing from the software, but I haven't been using it this way.
Mm-hmm.
What is the additional cost of getting involved in this?
So this $14 covers the entire Music First classroom and the additional software tools. So this is that $14 is going to get you everything that you have as far as creating classes, the content library.
Oh, that's great.
With this Practice First, Noteflight, and all that content. So if there are additional tools you're interested in, like Sight Reading Factory or Soundcheck or any of those other things, I can't remember offhand what you're using right now, but those of course have their same additional costs, but it's not, what is not is $14 for just Practice First and Noteflight, and then additional for classroom, and then additional for other stuff. The $14 encompasses the classroom and the software tools and all the content.
That's great. Thanks, Jay. I said Jason Panucci also talked to me. He's going to help me with it. So thank you.
And yeah, Sandra added on to that question. Does the $14 a year include the band and choir content? Yes, it does. It includes all the content that we showed you, plus a lot more. So yeah, please take a browse of all the content that's available there.
I have one more. I'm so sorry. I'm such a
No, please.
John.
Kirk.
Your stuff is the Noteflight stuff is incredibly powerful, but you go pretty fast for me. So are you planning a more, like I want to use it way more than I'm using it now. Are you planning some more training just for Noteflight? Absolutely.
So I can tell you that and I'm sure our team will pop support.noteflight.com in the chat in 3, 2, 1. But Noteflight has an entire support center. So you can find webinars that show a lot slower how all this works. There is a detailed article, step by step, picture by picture on everything. You know, Noteflight's integrated into Music First Classroom. So when you're launching from Music First, but once you're in Noteflight Learn, everything on Noteflight's support center applies. So there's lesson activities, there's all sorts of resources and activities that you can do with your students. And that's all at support.noteflight.com. And you can just search and find anything you want. So all the Soundcheck information, how to create assignments, everything is there for you.
And our wonderful support team over here at Music First as well also has these weekly webinars that you are invited to attend, either new users, pro users, somewhere in the middle. And this is an opportunity for people to come to those webinars, ask questions, and get one-on-one instruction. So other people who are attending the webinar can ask, you can see what they're doing. you can get a tutorial from the support team there. Every week it changes. So the calendar, there it
I
is.
just dropped it in the chat, baby.
Yeah, so they dropped it in the chat. You can just go there and find the schedule of those weekly webinars.
Come hang out with me.
Can I jump in with a question?
Please.
Hi, Brad.
Hey, how are y'all?
Good, how are you?
Good. Couple of things. This year I did Practice First and Noteflight with my students, and loved Practice First because there was tons of content in there. The one challenge that I had was and which leads to the question, is there plans to add the ability to add professional recordings, like audio recordings, to Practice First? Like in Noteflight, they have the professional recordings that you can tag on to a chart.
Yeah, this is a great question, Brad. At this point, it's sort of on the wish list to give teachers the ability to do this kind of thing. We don't have a specific calendar or plan for it yet.
Right on.
Something like that is completely in the hands of Practice First at this point. And they are currently working on some content organizing and updates coming soon. Don't tell anyone I told you. But so they've got some big projects upcoming. So I think that's kind of on the back burner, but definitely something we've talked about and advocated for. We as a staff have access to that kind of tool. And so it's to me, as a, I'm a ding dong, it makes sense that it would just be kind of a flip switch. But apparently it's much more complicated than that to make it available for teacher users as well. So it's definitely something we've reached out to Practice First about. But at this point, there's no hard, fast expectation for that feature.
That works for now. My second question is, I'm definitely a power user of Music First this year and have been all in with my students. I want to get the rest of my faculty up and running with you guys, and have been asked, do you guys do like paid professional development? Is there training available to like get with my whole music faculty to get them on board as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We can do paid trainings for sure. Usually that would happen after a purchase. We don't have a ton of folks
right on.
paying to come and convince you. But yeah, absolutely, 100%. Where are you located, if you don't mind saying the state you're located?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. So Robin Hodson is your man. For that. He can give you all the pricings and the sort of expectations and all that kind of stuff. But the short answer is hell yeah, for sure.
I will get up with Robin then. That's great.
Cool. Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else? That's all good stuff.
All right. Well, anybody who's interested in a free 30-day trial can visit the link on the screen. You can also find out more information about the complete performance assessment solution at musicfirst.com/complete-performance assessment solution. All right. So thank you all so much for coming. We're going to go ahead and get the recording to you, and you can also find it on the musicfirst.com or the Music First YouTube channel. Thank you all so much for coming, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.